All right, doing good.
Oh God, what's she into now?
Yes. See, I don't understand why they do that, but the red light means it's on, and
Yeah,
the green light means it's off.
Say a few words about Sandee's past and wish her well for her future. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Let me begin with some creative words that came my way. I've used them a couple times, so it may be familiar to you.
Listen.
To kind of set the context for what we're doing this afternoon, it's called simply The Dash by Linda Ellis. Read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke the following dates with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between the years. For the dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live in love and how we spend our dash. Ron put together for me, I guess just to let me kind of get the feel of Sandee's life, most impressive work. You done good.
No, it was her life.
And
I just wrote it down.
the dash may not have been as long as we would have liked, but she made up for it with quality. No doubt about it. Would you like me to share any of this, or these folks know her? I did not really know her. So
Let's share.
If you would, go ahead and read it. Yeah,
let me read it, okay?
not that long.
Sandee was born in Ticonderoga, New York on January 16, 1947. She was the second of 4 children born to John Wayne Morse and Catherine Margaret Morse. Her siblings are elder sister Jean and younger brothers Richard and Robert. Her dad was a store manager for Woolworths and was transferred first to St. Albans, Vermont for her adolescence, then to Attleboro, Mass, while in her freshman year in high school. She quickly made friends in high school, even having a Vermont accent. After graduation, she worked for a payroll company and then a job as a receptionist for the Marathon Company in Attleboro. Sandee had the ability to calm down an irate customer before they were transferred to the appropriate person. Ron was in the Navy at that time, stationed at Quonset Point, Rhode Island. They met through mutual friends at a party while I'm at an old-fashioned 3-room little red schoolhouse next door to their home, and every time a child fell and was scraped, they came over to see Mrs. R for some ice to put on the boo-boo. Sandee loved the boys with all her heart and was fortunate to be able to stay home for them till they were in high school. Sandee worked for a skin doctor for a while, then found a home working for an orthodontist. Firstborn son Brian met his true love Karen while attending Western Carolina University. During that time, Sandee complained to numerous doctors of pain in her side, was told it was feminine problems. Brian and Karen announced their wedding and the chaos then began. Sandee was thrilled and found the perfect dress and shoes. But 3 days before the wedding in North Carolina, the pain was horrible. She went to the doctor once more. He put her in the hospital and began tests. She got worse and could not attend the wedding. She was devastated. Ron gave the doctor instructions not to tell her any bad news till they got back. So Ron took her mother and younger son Kevin through a blizzard to the wedding. The doctor ignored the instruction and told her she had cancer. Her dad had died from cancer not long before. As it turned out, the cancer was an emotional tragedy, but not the worst thing Sandee endured. The same doctor removed the 7 inches of her cancerous colon, and that required a colostomy bag. While removing the colostomy bag, he nicked her lower intestine in 2 places. This caused peritonitis, and we almost lost her. It actually came down to hours if the infection was not overcome. After a year of weekly chemo, everything looked pretty good. Sandee was operated on by a doctor who is a personal friend to repair a hernia. He came out of the operating room and told Ron that her insides had scarred together in quite a few places as a result of earlier operations. He said he could not get in any further. The chemo caused her veins to partially collapse and bones to weaken. Her right leg had a total of 16 operations due to repeated breaks and procedures, the worst of which saw an infection form which caused the removal of 3 inches of her thigh bone. She endured 15 months of sleeping on the couch with an external fixator, which was designed by the Marquis de Sade. It did not work. Sandee was referred to a specialist in Baltimore, and Sandee and Ron made the trip every 6 weeks, flying to Baltimore. He was able to only stabilize the leg. Sandee saw other doctors in Fort Myers, Tampa, and Orlando after moving to Del Toro. There were options available to stretch the bone, but she felt she had been cut enough. It was obvious to all who knew her that she lived in constant pain. No one knew just how much pain she endured. As it happened, Teresita worked for the pathologist who did Sandee's autopsy. He explained that her entire abdomen was a fused block. It had to be extremely painful. Sandee was the best friend anyone could ask for. Her first thought was always how something would affect the other person, not her. She could not take it if she thought anyone would be mad at her. She was a woman of simple means, did not enjoy shopping or spending money on herself. Well, enough said. You all know why you loved her, as she loved all of you. Please keep her in your thoughts and in your prayers.
Beautiful, Ron. Thanks.
Quite a testimony, quite a life that she lived.
Sure was.
Amazing to be able to die with dignity, beauty, and love.
Hope so.
Says something about the character of this one.
That's for sure.
After reading that letter, I just kind of wondered, well, what's Sandee's message to you and I who remain? Came across a couple of things. I've been in the ministry about 50 years. You gather things from all over the map. Let me share just a couple of them. Anybody remember the name of Lisa Beamer?
Yeah.
You got to go back to 9/11, wife of Todd Beamer, the one he and a few friends took over the plane that was in Pennsylvania, heading for God knows where to destroy another building. They took it back and it crashed in the field in Pennsylvania. Lisa Beamer was being interviewed on Good Morning America. And she said, she told a story about a teacher she had whose husband died suddenly of a heart attack. So she shared these insights with her class. She said, you know, each of us is put here on earth to learn to share, to love, to appreciate, and give of ourselves. None of us know when this fantastic experience will end. So I'd like all of you to make me a promise. From now on your way to or from school, find something beautiful to notice. It doesn't have to be something you see. It could be a scent or the sound of a breeze. slightly rustling the leaves of the tree, or the way the morning light catches one autumn leaf as it falls to the ground. Look for these things. Cherish them. For although it may sound trite, these things are the stuff of life. Little things we often take for granted, but it's important to notice them, for it all can be taken away. Lisa said her class was quiet. We all picked up our books and filed out of the room silently. But she said that afternoon, I noticed more things on my way home from school than I had that whole semester. Seize the moment. You never know when they're going to end. There is a psalm not often referred to, Psalm 90, but it's got that same message. I'm going to share just a few verses. Lord, you've been our dwelling place in all generations, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. For 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep people away. They're like a dream, like grass which is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. Once the psalmist is convinced that he has shown us the great disparity between God, for whom 1,000 years are but a day, versus you and I, for whom 70 would be a lifetime, makes one simple statement. Teach us to number our days that we might get a heart of wisdom. Help us to realize how precious time is. Don't waste it. Use it. Seize it. Grab it. Well, you knew Lisa Beamer, but I don't imagine you know Orville Kelly. Orville was notified that he had terminal cancer. So he and his wife, after receiving that knowledge, went home to cry and to plan. He said, you know, together they prayed about how to face the remaining time together. The answer was, we should play about it. So they gave a big party. Invited all the friends. Sounds like this. During the evening, Orville quieted the group and made this announcement. I have been told I have terminal cancer. Then my wife and I realized we're all terminal. We're all terminal. So we decided to start a new group. It's called MTC, Make Today Count. You are all charter members. What Orville did was to point the way that each one of us is to play into the jaws of death, singing, loving, not losing a minute, for the joy the world cannot give, neither can it take it away. This next one would be the worst possible scenario. I want you to avoid it. It's entitled simply, If I Had My Life to Live Over. If I had my life to live over, I would have talked less and I would have listened more. I would have invited friends over to dinner even though the carpet was stained and the sofa was faded. I would have eaten popcorn in the good living room. Worried less about the dirt when someone wanted to light a fire in the fireplace. I would have burned the pink candle made like a rose before it melted in scourge. Would have sat on the lawn with my children and grandchildren and not worried about grass stains. I would have cried, laughed less while watching television, and done more of it while watching life. I would have shared more of the responsibilities carried by my partner. I would have gone to bed when I was sick instead of worrying that the earth would go into a holding pattern if I missed work for one day. Would never buy anything just because it was practical, wouldn't show soil, or was guaranteed to last for a lifetime. There would have been more, I love you, more, I am sorry, but mostly, given another shot at life, I would seize every moment, look at it, really see it, live it, and never give it back. The last one, Ron, is for you. It's entitled simply, Miss Me, But Let Me Go. When I come to the end of the road and the sun is set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that once was shared. Miss me, but then let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, each must go alone. It's all part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you're lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know. Bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Wondered if you folks have any memories or thoughts that you'd like to share with Ron as we come to a close here.
That was nice. That was beautiful. It's hard to put into words what Sandee meant to Susan and I. So we borrowed a few from Stephen Sondheim and Julie Stein. The basis for the words is the song Let Me Entertain You from their musical Gypsy. Sandee would always entertain us. She'd always make us smile. She always had a few tricks, some old and then some new tricks. She was very versatile. At trivia, she was real good. She made us all feel good. Her presence anywhere made our spirits climb. Yes, Sandee entertained us, and we all had a real good time. Her favorite categories: booze, mountains, monkeys, and crap. And I quote, she found her way to our hearts through a wonderfully humorous map. At Thanksgiving, she wore a turkey's rump. She traveled with a laugher she called the monk.
Where is it?
He's over there.
She had more fun with that than we can begin to tell you. The day she got it for her birthday, she called and played it to me over the phone because she couldn't wait for me to get here.
For everyone, she always had a perfect name. She was Cindy, the dark-haired one.
Yes.
The bird was Doofus. Not wrong. And you know the Archbishop and the Dame. Yes, Sandee was more than good. She made us all feel good. Her courage, wit, and loving ways absolutely sublime. Yes, Sandee more than entertained us. And we all had a real good time. Yes, sir, we all had a real good time. And more than that.
Sandee was always giving, and her gifts came with a wink and a devilish smile. We needed a book for our cocktail table, so she wrote us one, an effort quite rare. In her bio and fabulous label, Only trouble was the pages were bare. She was worried our bags would get dirty on the restaurant floor, so she gave us purse holders so we wouldn't worry anymore. Dropping our drinks at a party was something to dread, so she brought us a glass we could wear on our head. We shared with her a special gift, the monk, continuously laughing. When we brought him to parties, people thought we were daffy. We carted him north for the summer and returned him last year. Whenever she phoned us, his laughter was the first thing we'd hear. She baked us pies, she gave us jewelry to have on today, and angels too. But she was the real angel through and through. We'll never forget Sandee's humor, cleverness, and her sense that giving was indeed more blessed and more fun than receiving. She gave us both tangible and, more importantly, intangible gifts. Gifts of joy, friendship, caring, creativity, and really good times. She was one of a kind, and we feel so fortunate to have shared wonderful and joy-filled times with her. She'll always have a special place in our hearts.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I have to tell just one more story.
Go ahead, Al.
I won't stay ahead. But I don't know, we're in conversation. We're in conversation.
Well, I don't hear you.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me now? We're in conversation that came about, but it was if she died and Ron had not been there and he had to go to identify her afterwards and had to look at the body, he said, I never saw it before in my life.
I didn't think to prepare anything, I'm sorry. Sandee.
Well, we're older than you, so we had to.
Oh, thank you. Sandee and I became fast friends in Europe. Ron, Jerry, and I spent a lot of time together. We saw a lot of Europe together. We ate dinner every night together. And from that point on, we were very good friends. Jerry and I had a son that passed away a while back, and Sandee showed up at my house one day with an angel, one of these angels that you see back there, an angel like that, and said she had been thinking of Michael. Sandee never met Michael. She asked me a few things about him. She listened when I wanted to talk about him, which is unusual for anyone that's lost a child. A lot of people don't want to talk to you about it, but Sandee was right there, and she seemed to feel my grief and to help me through it. I dreamed about Sandee so much since she's died. She's still in my dreams, and I hope she stays there forever. Thank you.
My relationship with Sandee is always laughter. And Ron and Sandee introduced us to Chef
Michael?
Chef Michael?
Chef Mike.
No, Chef Dumler, the ventriloquist.
Oh, Jeff,
Oh, Jeff Dunham.
Chef Dunham. And ever since, Jeff Dunham has all these different puppets. And our favorite is
Ahmed,
the terrorist. And every now and then, we would talk to each other, wherever we are, we'll say, I'll kill you. And every time we say that, we just burst into laughter. And one time we were in on a show, and we were sitting, and I just told her, I'll kill you. And she started laughing, and we could not look at each other because we just laughed. And most of our people were with us were asking, what are you laughing? But we were just laughing. And she sends me, every time she sends me gifts. And one of the gifts that she sent me is and you know that she has, he has a turban, but instead, and this is what she gave me. This is what I remember. We always laugh. And I know that in heaven, Sandee is LOL.
She always said, thank God my bladder's still good. I hate to pee every time I laugh.
As Paul said, Sandee needs everyone. She called me the coach. I used to push her because I thought she needed to get out and do more to try to be within the universe that we have here. I had no idea how bad she was. But she always laughed and she always came along. And I loved her. And that's all I can say.
Just remembered one more thing. If you come to my house, the very first picture you see when you come in are Teresita, Rita, Sandee, and myself. We're on a cruise and we decided to get a picture without the guys knowing. And it sits right by our front door. Yes, you're right in front of my, right as you walk in my house.
I don't live there, I just visit.
Our house, I'm sorry.
That was subtle, Jerry. I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Friends, keep the laughter going. All right? That's your assignment.
We always will in
Very
memory
good.
of Sandy.
I'll tell you one thing. She loved the party. We all know that. So let's keep it going, kids. Let's keep it going. Thank you, Evan.
Paul.
That's a coffee. This is